الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We continue inshallah ta'ala with الروض المربع, and we stopped at ومنها أي من شروط الصلاة النية وبها تمت الشروط. The last شرط, the last conditions of الصلاة النية. ومنها, as he says, أي من شروط الصلاة, from the conditions of the صلاة النية وبها تمت الشروط. By the نية الشروط is completed. He says وهي لغة القصد وهو عزم القلب على الشيء. لغة, he's making تعريف, he's defining النية linguistically القصد, the objective or the goal, وهو عزم القلب, which is actually لغة النية, intentions. That's what لغة is. وهو عزم القلب على الشيء. What is القصد is the determination of the heart upon something, to do something. So it's not wishful thinking, it's already action. That's why it affects the action, whether it's to be accepted or not, whether to differentiate one action from the other as the subject of fiqh. The subject in the fiqh is the different implications to the intentions, whether it invalidates or validates the action, and the different actions, the different ibadat, separating one ibadah from the other, and one of which is the salah. So azmul qalb, that's why it's an action, and without it, either the action is invalid or a person is doing one thing or the other. وشرعا, religiously, the definition of النية العزم على فعل العبادة تقربا إلى الله تعالى. So the same thing, العزم, the determination على فعل العبادة, to do the act of عبادة, تقربا إلى الله تعالى, seeking the closeness to Allah, seeking the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he mentioned in the definition two things. Al-azm, again, al-azm is action, is a person either rewarded or punished as a result of this. To do an act of ibadah, taqarruban, seeking the closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the intentions has to be sincerely, purely done to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If it's for other than Allah, then the amal, the action, is not valid, and it's not then the proper niyyah religiously. Al-azmu ala fi'li al-ibadati taqarruban ila Allah ta'ala. ومحلها القلب. ومحلها القلب, the place of النية. And محل العمل, it's important to know what the place or what the organ that a person used to do certain actions. The sujood, for example, how do we make sujood, how to make ruku'. So the niyyah, where is the place of the niyyah? Is in the heart. So it has nothing to do with a person saying the niyyah. The niyyah is in the heart. It's a deed done by the heart. والتلفظ بها ليس بشرط. So if التلفظ بها, to utter the niyyah, to say nawaitu, I have the intentions to do this or to do that, ليس بشرط, it's not a condition. If a person says it, if a person doesn't say it, and his niyyah in his heart, that's what validates the niyyah. And it's not just that it's not a condition, it's bid'ah also. It's there's no evidence to it whatsoever. The Prophet ﷺ never said anything when it comes to niyyah. None of this is no evidence to it whatsoever. But here, since he's talking about الشرط والتلفظ بها ليس بشرط. So if that's why إذ الغرض جعل العبادة لله تعالى. الغرض, the goal here, is to make the ibadah, and that's what al-gharad is. Al-gharad is the physical goal also. When you have an objective or something that you shoot an arrow to, that's called al-gharad. So إذ الغرض جعل العبادة لله تعالى. The goal is to make the ibadah only to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why, as a result of a talaffuz not being the place of it is the tongue, it's only in the heart. وإن سبق لسانه إلى غير ما نواه لم يضر. وإن سبق لسانه, if his tongue سبق, that means surpassed, went ahead into saying something that he does not intend for, إلى غير ما نواه, to other than what he intended with his heart, لم يضر, it's not going to harm him what he said with his tongue. So if someone says nawaitu, which is bid'ah again, but if someone says nawaitu an usalli al-dhuhr, and in his heart he's praying asr, so what counts here? It's what's in the heart. Whatever he said with his tongue does not count as long as what's in his heart is something else. And that's why it's innovation in the deen, plus it causes all kinds of waswas. And many times when people, they say these types of things, they would say something and in the heart something else, and then they would leave the salah and they have to repeat the takbiratul ihram many times because to make sure they're focusing on what exactly to be said, which is all not the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So this is with regard to the definition. Then, and there's so many masail here, and also can be a little bit confusing, but inshallah ta'ala, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy. He says, فَيَجِبُ أَنْ يَنْوِيَ عَيْنَ صَلَاةٍ مُعَيَّنَةٍ. فَيَجِبُ أَنْ يَنْوِيَ عَيْنَ صَلَاةٍ مُعَيَّنَةٍ. يجب, that means it's mandatory. أن ينوي, that he would make the niyyah, that's the verb of it, عَيْنَ صَلَاة. عَيْنَ صَلَاة, a very particular salah, special, the exact salah that he is praying, muayyana. The salah has to be muayyana, and he's making the intention of that particular salah. Salat muayyana, يعني there is salatul dhuhr, salatul asr, and there is salatu sunnatul dhuhr, sunnatul asr, like this. So it's a salah muayyana, is a specific salah, and he makes the intention for that particular salah. So فرضا كانت, whether it's fard, كالظهر والعصر. So his intention is that he's praying dhuhr, and his intention that he's praying asr. Again, when we say his intention, this is what's in his heart. أو نفلا كالوتر والسنة الراتبة. Or his intention is to pray nafl, like al-witr. And witr is nafl. And anything other than the fard is in the category of a nafl. There's different terminologies, does not harm to say nafl and sunnah and so on, but nafl in the general sense, anything that is not fard. أو نفلا كالوتر والسنة الراتبة. So he has to have the intention that this is witr, this is sunnah راتبة. لحديث إنما الأعمال بالنيات, because the deeds are by their intentions. So these salawat are salatun muayyana. These are salawat muayyana. There is nafl mutlaq. The nafl mutlaq is just any salah without any intentions, just 2 rak'ah any time like this, and where it's permissible to pray. Then there's no particular niyyah, there's no specific niyyah here that he needs to define. So this is فيجب أن ينوي عين صلاة معينة. So if it's salah muayyana, he has the intention of that specific salah. And of course it's obvious. If someone have the intention, his heart is praying sunnatul dhuhr, it cannot be salatul dhuhr. It's 4 rak'ah. If someone prays it 4 rak'ah without even 2 rak'ah and 2 rak'ah, it won't count as salatul dhuhr because his intention is sunnatul dhuhr. So this is to show the importance of the intentions. And the same thing, if you pray dhuhr with the niyyah of asr or vice versa, then it only counts with whatever intentions is. Then ولا يشترط في الفرض أن ينويه فرضا. It is not a condition for the fard that he would make the intention that this is fard, because this is, as they call it, by التلازم. This is by necessity. It's very obvious. فتكفي نية الظهر ونحو. It's sufficient that the niyyah is نية الظهر, because the dhuhr is fard. So he doesn't have to have the intention that this is the salatul dhuhr and it's fard on me. So, and that's why also those who say the niyyah with their tongue, they say نويت أن أصلي صلاة الظهر فرضا, and they would say لله تعالى, and sometimes they add things to it. So in the heart, which is of course the here what is meant by what's in the heart, he's praying dhuhr. He doesn't have to make the intention that this is for fard, because it's already obvious. ونحوي, and the like of that. ولا في الأداء ولا في القضاء نيتهما لأن التعيين يغني عن ذلك. The same thing في الأداء والقضاء. الأداء is when the salah is prayed in its time. والقضاء is when the time passes and a person praying the salah after its time finished. So if he's praying the salatul dhuhr after the time of salatul dhuhr finished, he's praying it in the time of salatul asr, there's no need for him to make intention that this is qada or this is ada. It doesn't matter. He's praying salatul dhuhr. Yes, he's not praying it in its time, whether he had an excuse or not, this is something else. But the intention, it's why this is not important, because it doesn't make any difference. Because he's praying salatul dhuhr. ولا في الأداء ولا في القضاء نيتهما لأن التعيين يغني عن ذلك. Because التعيين here, that he's praying dhuhr, that's sufficient. That takes care of whether it's ada or qada, it doesn't matter. But of course, if a person is missing the salah, he would know what he's doing. But sometimes, say for example, a person woke up from his sleep and the room is dark, he doesn't know what time is it, and he thought that this is still the time for dhuhr. So he prayed dhuhr. And then after he finished the Salatul Dhuhr, he realized that this is the time of Asr. He prayed it in time of Asr. Does he need to repeat the Salah because his intentions was Ada, not Qada? Of course not. He prayed Dhuhr. That's what matters. Whether it's the time of the Ada or the time of Qada. He says, وَيَصِحُّ قَضَاءٌ بِنِيَّةِ أَدَاءٍ وَعَكْسُهُ إِذَا بَانَ خِلَافُ ظَنِّ. This is what I just mentioned here, that it's يصح, it's sahih, is valid, that a person prays something qada with the intention of the ada by mistake. He thought that it's still the time and he prayed it thinking that he's praying the salah in time. It's valid. He does not have to repeat the salah. وعكسه, and the opposite. He's praying ada thinking that this is qada. He's praying Salatul Dhuhr thinking that he missed it. So after he finished the salah, he discovered that he did not miss it. His salah is valid? Yes, it's valid, because he prayed Dhuhr. وعكسه إذا بان خلاف ظنه. إذا بان, if it's clear that this is his dhan, his الظن here is a little bit higher than a shak, is more than the doubt. And غلبة الظن, or the dhan, is something to act upon. So when bana, that means become clear, the opposite of what he thought. So ويصح قضاء بنية أداء وعكسه, and the opposite إذا بان خلاف ظنه, if it was clearly that it's opposite to what he thought. Clear? So all of these different cases is because the niyyah for salah muayyana, it doesn't have to be specifying that it's a fard. It's sufficient to have the intention that it's dhuhr or asr. That's it. And it doesn't matter whether it's ada or qada. Because if a person, the opposite, if you think of someone having the intention of making salat fard, is that valid? Of course not. Right? So if someone, just the intention that he's making salat fard, any fard, and it's dhuhr time. What if is it fajr, is it dhuhr, is it asr? So it has to be the intention for that specific salah. So he's coming to the masjid, he missed Salatul Dhuhr, and he's coming and people are praying Salatul Asr. His intention is what? Any fard? No, it has to be one particular salah. Whether it's Dhuhr, of course, in this case, he would do the tartib, the order, so he would make it Dhuhr. Then he says, وَلَا يُشْتَرَطُ فِي النَّفْلِ وَالْإِعَادَةِ أي الصلاة المعادة نيتهن. It's not a condition in the nafl salah, optional salah, and a salah that is repeated because it has to be repeated, had to be repeated because he made a mistake. So if salatul nafl or a salah that has to be repeated, even if it's fard, أي الصلاة المعادة نيتهن. It's not a condition for the intention that this is nafl. It is not conditioned that the repeated salah is a repeated salah. نيتهن, that means نية النفلة, نية النفل, نية النافلة, and نية الإعادة. You understand? So نيتهن, the ضمير here refers to the nafl والإعادة, not the particular salah. Right? Because the nafl here is not salah معينة. نفل, any salah. نفل مطلق. الإعادة, he prayed dhuhr. And he remembered that while he was after he made the salah, that he was not in wudu. So he's repeating the salah. Right? Of course, this does not need to have the intention, I'm repeating the dhuhr. Right? Do you understand this point? Not, of course, his intention is dhuhr. He has to make intention that this is dhuhr. But does not have to be, I'm repeating salatul dhuhr. Or he prayed in one place and he went to another place and he repeated the salah regardless whether this is permissible or not. He does not have to have the intention of repeating. I'm repeating the salah. This issue of i'ada. He says, فَلَا يُعْتَبَرُ أَنْ يَنْوِيَ الصَّبِيُّ الظُّهْرَ نَفْلًا. To make this mas'ala clear, he says, فَلَا يُعْتَبَرُ. That means it's not recognized, it's not anything, that a sabi, the child, would have the intention that Salatul Dhuhr is nafl. Why is that? Because the Salatul Dhuhr for the sabi is nafl. A child, for him, is not mukallaf. He's not responsible for his actions yet. So when he prays as if it's Salatul Nafl for him, does he have to have the intention that this is nafl? No. Right? So this is nafl for him. So he does not need to have that intention. ولا أن ينوي الظهر من أعادها معادة. This is what explains what that means. That he does not have the intention of Salatul Dhuhr for the one that أعادة, the one that repeats it, that it's معادة, that it's a repeated salah. كما لا تعتبر نية الفرض وأولى, which is also as a very obvious reason, because the fard is not something to be recognized, as we mentioned before. You don't have to make the intention that this is fard. وأولى, that means it's even more important than the fact that it's mu'ad, or more likely. Clear the reasoning here? So since, as mentioned before, that you don't have to have the niyyah that this is fard. It's sufficient to say that this is niyyatul dhuhr, praying dhuhr. So since you don't have to have the intention that this is fard, then min babi awla, that means it's what's in min babi awla? More priority, that when the salah is repeated, you don't say that it's a repeated salah, that you don't make the intention that it's a repeated salah. Clear? So ولا يشترط في النفل والإعادة أي الصلاة المعادة نيتهن، فلا يعتبر أن ينوي الصبي الظهر نفلا ولا أن ينوي الظهر من أعادها معادة، كما لا تعتبر نية الفرض وأولى. Then he says ولا تعتبر إضافة الفعل إلى الله تعالى فيها. So the word of لا تعتبر, that means it's nothing, it's not recognized, it's of no validity. So إضافة الفعل إلى الله تعالى بها, you don't have to attribute it to Allah. You don't have to say this is, your intentions doesn't have to be that this is for the sake of Allah. Why? Because also this is what the salah is. Right? There's no salah for the sake of Allah and salah for the sake of other than Allah. So it's only one intention, because if it's not for the sake of Allah, it's not valid. It's becomes a show. So that's why ولا تعتبر. You don't have to have in your heart that this in your intention that this is for the sake of Allah, because this is the default of it. ولا في باقي العبادات, and the same thing for the rest of the ibadat. Your ikhlas, your purity of intentions, it's already given. The person is worshipping Allah. And that's why al-ikhlas from that perspective is the easiest thing, is that the person would push away the riya, that's something else. But the intention is does not have to be present in the heart. ولا عدد الركعات. Also, there is no need for the intention of the numbers of the raka'at, whether a person is a traveler or not. Of course, when he's a traveler, he's already knows that this is salat musafir, but he doesn't have to have the intention for rak'ah, 2 rak'ah, like this. ومن عليه ظهران عين السابقة لأجل الترتيب. ومن عليه, whoever upon him 2 ظهر. ظهران is مثنى of ظهر. عين السابقة. Now we know what عين means. That means he is, what's the best word for عين? Specified, specific. So عين, that means his past tense, specify. So ومن عليه ظهران عين السابقة. He should specify السابقة. السابقة is the first one. لأجل الترتيب, for the ترتيب, having things in order. So someone, he missed 2 ظهر. Of course, he has to have the intention when he's praying the first ظهر that this is the first one. This is the yesterday one. He doesn't have to be remembering when exactly it was, but it's the previous one and then the later one, because he has to observe the tartib. And this can also work for those who have many salawat to pray from before. Some people, they would pray many, for example, many dhuhrs and many asrs like this. No, you need to observe the tartib. So you pray Fajr, then Dhuhr, then Asr, then Maghrib, Isha, and then the next day like this. If a person is making up salawat from before, to observe the tartib and to be away from the difference of opinion. ولا يمنع صحتها قصد تعليمها ونحوه. ولا يمنع صحتها. It does not prevent, or it does not negate its صحة, its validity, that it's a right intention. قصد تعليمها. If a person intended to teach others the salah, ونحوه, and the like of that. So even though, of course, the salah, the intention is making salah also, not that he's just making harakat, movements, to teach children, for example, or to teach his class, or to teach people. If it's just making movements, he's not making salah. But his intentions is salah. But with that, he is teaching people with his salah how to make salah. Clear? And the Sahaba would do that, and the Prophet ﷺ said, صلوا كما رأيتموني أصلي. Pray the same way that you see me praying. ولا يمنع صحتها قصد تعليمها ونحوه. ونحوه meaning the like of this. The like of teaching someone, and that a person would make salah. Some mentioned, say for example, someone is talking to you too much and you want to get rid of him. So you stand in salah, you say Allah Akbar. I'm just, but is it, you're making salah, but this is not your intention. You're not making harakat, you're not making movements. No, you seriously making salah, but you made this as an excuse to run away from someone, right? Something like this. So the salah is valid, unless a person is just not in salah. This is something else. Clear? So he says وينوي مع التحريمة لتكون النية مقارنة للعبادة. وينوي مع التحريم. Now the time of the, when is the valid time for the niyyah? مع التحريمة. التحريمة is تكبيرة الإحرام, saying الله أكبر. So the first takbir of the salah, that's called at-tahrima, because it forbids what's before that was permissible, which is eating and drinking and doing things. The salah has its shughl, person is busy with the salah. So وَيَنْوِي مَعَ التَّحْرِيم, with the tahrim. The niyyah in the heart is while he is saying Allahu Akbar. لِتَكُونَ النِّيَّةُ مُقَارِنَةً لِلْعِبَادَةِ, so that the niyyah is muqarina, is coincides with the ibadah with it. And the niyyah is shart, so it has to stay with the person till the end of the salah. But the issue is, can it be the intention just before the takbirah? Yes, but just before it, not long before. He says, وَلَهُ تَقْدِيمُهَا, it's permissible to have it a little bit before saying Allahu Akbar, أي النية. عليها meaning before the tahrima, before تكبيرة الإحرام. أي على تكبيرة الإحرام بزمن يسير, with a very short period of time. عرفا is the urf, very short period of time, and it's to be known that this is a short period of time. We don't have to say 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It's just a very, very close to takbiratul ihram. Doesn't have to be while he's raising his hand. It's right there. عرفا إن وجدت النية, if the niyyah, but with the condition. One is the zaman al-yasir, with the condition that it's fil waqt, in the waqt of the salah, in the time of the salah. So if a person standing waiting for adhan al-asr, right, he once the adhan time comes, he's going to make salah. So right before the adhan of al-asr, he made his intentions that he's going to pray asr, and his intention is in his heart again. So once Allahu Akbar, so he raised his hand. So there was no space in time, in the time of asr, that he intended asr. He made it in Salatul Dhuhr, in the time of Dhuhr. Just saying, because this is fil waqt, in the time of the obligatory salah. And some said, اختيارات of, we'll mention inshallah while doing this, some of the choices of the fatwa of the ulama, that even though it might be another riwayah in the madhab, just to make sure when it comes to the practical matters. But we're understanding the masail first. So like for example, Sheikh Ibn Zidan rahimahullah and others, it's okay even if it's before the time, as long as it's zaman yasir, as long as it's right there. But to understand it like this, fil waqt ay waqt al muadda, so the time of the salah where it's done as ada, wal ratiba, and the same thing with sunnah al ratiba, because it's muayyana. Sunnah al dhuhr, you have the intention for it after the adhan of al dhuhr, or right after or when the adhan is being called, not before. ما لم يفسخها, and as long as he does not yafsakh, breaks what? The niyyah. If he breaks his niyyah, for example, he would say, let me wait for another half an hour. So he made the fasakh of it, or fasakh of the salah. وما لم يفسخها, so يفسخ الصلاة. If he breaks the salah that he had the intentions for, then the salah is valid. So here, ما لم يفسخ, as long as he did not break the salah. فإن قطعها في أثناء الصلاة. فإن قطعها في أثناء الصلاة. And the same thing if he breaks his intention. If he breaks his intention, makes it or delays it He says, no, I'm not going to pray now. I'm going to pray after half an hour. So that means that doesn't count because after half an hour he has to have the intention of the salah. فإن قطعها في أثناء الصلاة أو تردد في فسخها بطلت. Now this is when the niyyah becomes broken, it's invalid, it's negated. If he قطع النية is when someone stops his intention, because this is a condition. As ستر العورة, as covering the awrah, is a condition, has to be from the beginning to the end of the salah. The same thing, the intentions has to be present with the person in his heart till the end of the salah. So if he intended in his heart فإن قطعها, that he is going to break his salah في أثناء الصلاة, during the salah, he decided he's leaving the salah, but he can't because it's crowded. He's standing in the line and he broke his salah. He has to go to the bathroom or he has to leave. Not necessarily broke his wudu. He can't stand anymore and he wants to run. So this is now, the salah is not valid because he stopped his niyyah. أو تردد في فسخها, or he was in doubt going back and forth whether to break the salah or not. But this is something that we have to be careful with. التردد is, according to what's mentioned here, is that he breaks his niyyah, takes it back. Breaks his niyyah, takes the niyyah back. Right? Like this. Not that he is talking to himself, having whims in his heart. Should I leave? Should I not leave? Is it going to be difficult for me? This is different. أو تردد في فسخها بطلت, the salah becomes invalid because, why is that? لأن استدامة النية شرط. The continuity of the niyyah is a condition. ومع الفسخ أو التردد لا يبقى مستديما. And if a person breaks it, الفسخ, or going back and forth like this, it's not continuous. It's been broken. That means the salah is not valid. He has to start over again. But to be careful with the waswas. This is not about waswas or did I break my intention. Once these things comes in, that means this is waswas of shaitan. A person has to stay away from it. He says, وَكَذَا لَوْ عَلَّقَهُ عَلَى شَرْطٍ. The same ruling applies if he made his salah conditioned on or conditioned with a condition. Meaning he says, I'm going to make salah as long as the door doesn't ring or the phone doesn't ring. If the phone rings, I'm going to break my salah. He's waiting for a job offer. If he would say something like this. And if it's the salah, I'm praying nafl. If the phone ring, I'm going to break my salah. It's not permissible, of course. But that conditioning of the salah makes the salah from the very beginning is not valid. Right? وكذا لو علقه على شرط. لا إن عزم على فعل محظور قبل فعله. Which لا إن, that means not, then the rule does not apply here. إن عزم على فعل محظور قبل فعله. If you have the determination to do something wrong before it happened, he had thoughts of something wrong to do in the salah. That doesn't break the salah as long as he didn't do it. That's different than making a condition for the salah. That means he has the taraddud. That means he broke the intentions of the salah. The azm ala fa'l mahdur does not break the intention. He's just having the determination, which is wrong, of course. But he's having determination to do something wrong. He's not having a determination to break the salah. Right? So this is different. Whether it's the fa'l al-mahdur or the wrongdoing in the salah or outside of the salah. So if someone in the salah have bad intentions to do something evil, this is bad. You should fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but it does not break the salah. Before he does it, if he does something wrong in the salah, then it's something different. قبل فعله. وإذا شك فيها في النية أو التحريمة استأنفها. وإن ذكر قبل قطعها فإن لم يكن أتى بشيء من أعمال الصلاة بنى وإن عمل مع الشك عملا استأنف. Now this issue of a shak, the real shak, the real doubt that is going back and forth like this, not the whispers or waswas of shaitan. So if he had doubts in his niyyah and his intention, or at-tahrima or takbiratul ihram, the beginning of the takbiratul ihram, ista'nafaha, that means he start over. So if while he's making salah, he broke his intention, he bring it back, then he has to start over the salah because he broke his intention. Or here إن شك فيها في النية. If no, sorry, this is here about having the doubts of the niyyah itself. He all of a sudden he finds himself in the salah. He doesn't know what he's praying dhuhr or asr. What is he doing? إذا شك فيها في النية, he's in doubt what his intention is. أو التحريمة, the تكبيرة الإحرام, استأنف, he has to start the salah over because he has to have the intention from the beginning of the salah. So if it's, but this is also a person has to be careful because he knows what he's doing. He's coming for the masjid for Salatul Isha. There's no need for him to be present with his heart to make the salah valid. He knows what he's doing. But in the case that this is the way that he has doubt in the intentions and he started the salah, then he has to stop. He has to break his salah and start over. وَإِن ذَكَرَ قَبْلَ قَطْعِهَا, if he remembered in the salah what his intentions is, right? So he started the salah and then all of a sudden in the salah he forgot what he was doing. He has doubts of his intentions. Then he remembered that he had the intention of making this sunnatul dhuhr or so. Before he broke his salah. فإن لم يكن أتى بشيء من أعمال الصلاة بنى. If it's still while he's standing, then he should continue. But if he made ruku' while still in this doubt, then he has to start the salah over because there's a portion of the salah here, a pillar of the salah that is being done while being in that extreme doubt that makes the salah invalid. So this is فإن لم يكن أتى بشيء من أعمال الصلاة بنى. بنى, that means he built on his action. Opposite to استأنف. الاستئناف is to stop and to start it over. So فإن لم يكن أتى بشيء من أعمال الصلاة. If he did not have any more actions in the salah, he's still in the same rukn, then he continues. وإن عمل مع الشك عملا استأنف. If he acted with the doubt a certain action, he went from standing to ruku' or from ruku' to sujood and so on, then استأنف. استأنف, that means he has to break his salah and start over again. Because the portion of the salah, again, is being done while he broke his intentions or going back and forth. Clear? وبعد الفراغ لا أثر للشك. After he finished, al-faragh, after things are done, there is no effect for doubt. So if a person finishes the salah and then the doubt comes, then overlook it. This is of no validity to it whatsoever because this is just whispers of shaitan. So shak, the doubt, unless it becomes yaqeen or certainty. This is after the salah is done. Then he says وإن قلب منفرد أو مأموم فرضه نفلا في وقته متسع. Now this is the different change of the intentions during the salah, and after that it's going to talk about the ma'mum and the imam. Too many مسائل that is together. وإن قلب منفرد, and you can make your own chart if you want, or the different cases. But this is, again, it's not meant to be this way. It's meant to be difficult like this so that we focus on it, inshallah. وإن قلب منفرد. Munfarid is the one that is praying alone. قلب, that means something inverted. That means it's changed. أو مأموم. مأموم is the follower. Right? We don't have to say what مأموم means and what munfarid means. We already know. So munfarid, someone praying alone, not in jama'ah. Ma'mum is the follower. Imam is the imam, the one that leads the salah. So وإن قلب منفرد أو مأموم. Munfarid, someone praying alone, or the ma'mum, they changed. قلب فرضه, he inverted, he replaced, he changed the intention of his fard naflan. He's praying fard and he changed it to be nafl. Praying dhuhr and he made it just nafl. في وقته المتسع, in his time that is spacious. The time is still spacious for him to pray dhuhr. If he's praying dhuhr and there's still an hour till asr. And while he's praying dhuhr, he changed his intention to make it nafl. Not sunnat dhuhr, nafl, just nafl mutlaq like this. في وقته, and there's still time, he can make salatul dhuhr afterwards. في وقته المتسع. المتسع, his time that is spacious. From al-wasi'. جاز, it's permissible. It's permissible to do that. Why? لأنه إكمال في المعنى. Because this is continuing, completing the meaning. What does completing the meaning means? Like كنقض المسجد للإصلاح. When they demolish a masjid to fix it. if someone looking from a distance, oh, these people are evil, they're breaking the masjid, but the masjid is going to fall on the head of the people making salah. So they're breaking it so that they can build it to be strong. So this is valid. So he's breaking the fard to make it nafl, and that means he's going to pray the fard, and there's of course there's a reason. لكن يكره لغير غرض صحيح. It's makruh to do that without a valid reason or a goal that a person is doing that for a valid reason. مثل أن يحرم منفردا, like as an example, أن يحرم منفردا, يحرم meaning بالصلاة here, right? Not in Hajj. أن يحرم منفردا, that he starts the salah منفردا, praying alone, not جماعة, فيريد الصلاة في جماعة. Then while he's making the salah, he wants to pray جماعة, so he makes that fard nafl so that he can join the جماعة. Right? So as he mentioned that also example, ونص أحمد, Ahmad نص, when they say نص أحمد, that this is, he stated clearly, في من صلى ركعة من فريضة منفردة. Someone prayed one rak'ah in fard of a fard salah, he was praying alone, not in jama'ah. ثم حضر الإمام وأقيمت الصلاة. Then the imam came and they made the iqamah of the salah. What should that person praying alone? He's praying the same salah. He's praying dhuhr. The masjid is empty. He thought that everybody prayed or nobody's coming. So the imam comes and they make the iqamah while he's in the first rak'ah, second rak'ah also. He says, يقطع صلاته ويدخل معهم. He says he stops his salah and he joins them. يقطع صلاته ويدخل معهم. قطع الصلاة here, to stop the salah, he says يتخرج منه, to take as an evidence from that statement, قطع النافلة, to stop the nafila بحضور الجماعة بطريق الأولى, because the jama'ah came, because it's nafila بطريق الأولى, that means which is more of a priority here in this case. So in this case, because it's the first rak'ah, but if it's the second rak'ah or he's about to finish it, he would make it nafl and then finish the salah and join the jama'ah. So he changes intentions. And this can easily happen. The person thought that he missed the salah, or shaitan whispered him, pray at home. He's lazy, so he started the salah at home, Salatul Dhuhr, for example. Then he felt bad. Let me go to the masjid. Can he say, no, I'm stuck, that's it, my intention is for Dhuhr? He can make it nafl. He can make it nafl and make it also for rak'ah nafl, no problem. And then after that, he goes and he joins the Salat al-Jama'ah. So this is with the issue from fard to nafl. So this mas'ala from fard to nafl. Nafl mutlaq, not a specific sunnah prayer. وإن انتقل بنية من غير تحريمة من فرض إلى فرض آخر بطل لأنه قطع نية الأولى ولم ينوي الثانية من أوله. If he انتقل, that means he moved, بنية, with a نية, من غير تحريمة, without تكبيرة الإحرام. That means he is in the salah, changed from fard to fard. While he's praying dhuhr, he wants to change it to make it asr. من فرض إلى فرض آخر, another fard. بطل, both becomes invalid. He cannot go back to the first one because he broke it with the intention of praying another fard, and the second one is also batil, is not valid, because he did not start the salah with it. لأنه قطع نية الأولى, because this is the reasoning, because he broke the first intention, because he moved it to the other fard, ولم ينوي الثانية من أوله, and he did not have the intention of the second one from the beginning. So you cannot do from fard to fard. وإن نوى الثاني من أوله بتكبيرة إحرام صح. وإن نوى الثاني, if he intended the second one, من أوله, from the very beginning of it, بتكبيرة إحرام, with تكبيرة إحرام صح, then it's valid. So you would find here that what's well known in the madhab, that since the intention, the niyyah, has to be from the beginning to the end, anything that breaks this, they would say that it's not valid. وإن نوى الثاني من أوله, so this has to be from the very beginning, except from fard to nafl. You can change that. But other than that, since it's muayyan, the salah al-muayyana, the specific salah, has to have the intention from the beginning of it. Right? So this is how things are. وإن نوى الثاني من أوله بتكبيرة إحرام صح. Is it clear? وينقلب نفلا ما بان عدمه كفائتة لم تكن وفرض لم يدخل وقته. So a salah becomes نفل ينقلب نفلا ما بان عدمه. What becomes clear that this salah is of no salah whatsoever. كفائتة لم تكن. Salah that is not valid of his intention. He had the intention to pray Salatul Dhuhr, for example, because he missed it. But he did not miss Salatul Dhuhr. So what is the salah that he's doing now? Nafl. Because you cannot repeat Salatul Dhuhr again. كفائتة لم تكن. كفائتة فلم تكن. Was not a fa'ita. He thought it was fa'ita, he thought he missed it, but he did not miss it. So it becomes nafl. I mean, meaning that he prayed it already. Right? Someone forgot. So he's praying Salatul Dhuhr again. And he already made Salatul Dhuhr. So this second salah is nafl. Becomes nafl. وفرض لم يدخل وقته. Someone praying fard that the time of it did not enter yet. So again, by mistake, he thought that the time of Fajr started, so he started making the salah. And while in the salah, or after the salah, doesn't matter, he realized that the time of Fajr didn't start. So this salah, even though he had the intention that he's praying Fajr, it doesn't count. It's just nafl. Nafl salah. And if he realized this in the salah, he should not break the salah, he should continue. But this is nafl salah. اتفضل. Yeah, of course, during the salah. After the salah, it's over. Yeah, of course. Yes, this is only during the salah now. And then after that, then it's going to be with Salatul Jama'ah. If you have, make sure that you write, inshallah. If you have any questions, have it at the end, because it's all kinds of things together, inshallah. So you guys are ready for this one? He says, وَيَجِبُ لِلْجَمَاعَةِ. This is now the change of intentions in Salatul Jama'ah. What's before was not in Salatul Jama'ah, now in Salatul Jama'ah. وَيَجِبُ لِلْجَمَاعَةِ نية الإمامة للإمام ونية المأموم الائتمام. This is an easy one. If it's Salatul Jama'ah, there has to be, the Imam has to have the intention of being Imam, and the Ma'mum has to have the intention of being Ma'mum. And this is an obvious thing. Again, the intention is in the heart. So ويجب الجماعة نية الإمامة للإمام ونية المأموم الائتمام, that he is a follower. لأن الجماعة يتعلق بها أحكام, because the Jama'ah has أحكام, special rulings to Salatul Jama'ah that is different than a person praying alone. وإنما يتميزان بالنية فكانت شرطا. يتميزان, what makes the Imam Imam and the Ma'mum Ma'mum is with the intention, is with their intention. Right? So يتميزان, the Imam and the Ma'mum, by the intention. فكانت شرطا, so this is a condition. رجلا كان المأموم أو امرأة. Whether the Ma'mum is a man or a woman, because the woman Salatul Jama'ah is not mandatory for her. But if she prays Salatul Jama'ah, she still have to have the intention that this is Salatul Jama'ah. Even though it's a very obvious thing, but as you see, that in some cases, yes, it's very clear that they have to have the intentions. وإن اعتقد كل منهما. Sometimes the masail might be very rare, but it's to establish, again, as we said, it's not that they would make up masail for the sake of masail, but it's to establish the understanding of the principle. Right? So وإن اعتقد كل منهما أنه إمام الآخر أو مأمومه فسدت صلاتهما. Imam and Ma'mum, both of them, two only. One is Imam and one is Ma'mum. Both of them, they believe that he's the Imam. Both of them, they think that they are the Imam. Right? Both of their salah is not valid. Or both, they thought that they are the Ma'mum. They didn't decide who's going to lead. Of course, it's obvious the one standing on the right is the Ma'mum, but they don't know this ruling. So they started the salah, no, you brother, and they did not decide it. So Allahu Akbar, they both said Allahu Akbar at the same time for whatever reason. So this is, both they think that they're Imam, or both they think that they're the Ma'mum. Both of the salah, fasadat salatuhuma, and that shows the importance of the intention. Who's Imam and who's Ma'mum? كما لو نوى إمامة من لا يصح أن يؤمه. The same ruling. Why is that? Because if someone also have the intention of leading the salah to someone that is not valid for him to lead him in the salah. A woman finds herself imam for a man behind her, for example. Right? Is her salah is valid? Neither her salah or his salah is not valid. So, for example, if and this can, if كما لو نوى, since this is not valid, so the same thing, why it's not valid? Because it's not permissible for her to lead a man in the salah, or even her child, if it's a boy, to lead him in the salah. So since this is not valid, so the same thing, because she's not supposed to be imam for them. So the same thing if someone does not know if he's imam or ma'mum. أو شك في كوني إماما أو مأموما. If the person is in doubt whether he's imam or ma'mum, that invalidates the salah. The intentions is very important. ولا يشترط تعيين الإمام والمأموم. لا يشترط. It's not a condition that you would make ta'yin, that you would know who your imam is. That your intention, I'm praying behind Sheikh Mahmoud Muhammad. Right? The name of him. Right? This is, you don't have to have that condition. A person comes in the back, he joins the jama'ah, it doesn't matter who's making the salah, who's leading the salah. لا يشترط تعيين الإمام ولا المأموم. The imam does not have to know everyone behind him, praying behind him, who are they. ولا يضر جهل المأموم ما قرأ به إمامه. لا يضر is not harmful, does not matter. If the ma'mum does not know, جهل المأموم is unaware what the imam is reciting. He can't hear what the imam is reciting. It doesn't matter, his salah is valid. ما قرأ به إمامه. So far is good, right? وإن نوى زيد الائتمام بعمر. If Zayd had the intentions to al-i'timam, that means to be ma'mum. Al-i'timam. Right? He nawa, different than when if it says وَإِنَّوَ زَيْدُ إِمَامَةُ عَمْرٍ. Al-i'timam bi'amr, that means he's ma'mum to Amr. If Zayd had the intention to be ma'mum and Amr is the imam. وَلَمْ يَنْوِ عَمْرٌ الْإِمَامَةِ. Amr did not have the intention of the imamah. صحت صلاة عمرو وحده. Only Salat Amr is valid. So Zayd wants to be ma'mum. He saw Amr making Salah alone, even though the madhab, they don't validate this, which is an issue here. But someone is praying alone. So someone comes and he joined next to him for Salatul Jama'ah. So here Amr is the imam and Zayd stand next to him to be ma'mum. Amr does not have the intentions of the imam. He's not recognizing him. He doesn't want to be imam. He sees that this is not a valid salah. He does not take that opinion. Right? Some people, they would say like this. Back home, they would do these types of things. Someone comes to him and says, he would push him away or like this. Or he just continues salah. He does not say Allahu Akbar loud, does not raise his salah, his voice with the citation. So the ma'mum has to recognize this. He's not being imam. So he should leave him with his intention. He becomes munfarid. Because if he doesn't, then the ma'mum, his salah becomes invalid. Because he has the intention of being a ma'mum to nobody. He's supposed to be ma'mum, that means there's an imam. So, but Salat Amr is valid. Amr is the imam, or he was taken as imam by Zayd. But he did not have the intentions of being imam, his salah is valid. It continues to be, because he doesn't have to. صحت صلاة عمرو وحده. But Zayd, his salah is not valid. وتصح, and this happens a lot actually. That's why people, sometimes the ma'mum will continue the salah and it invalidates his salah. He's having intentions to be ma'mum when there's no imam. وتصح نية الإمامة ظانا حضور مأموم لا شاكا. تصح نية الإمامة, it's valid to have a niyyah of al-imam. ظانا, he thinks that people are present behind him, not that he's in doubt. So he's praying and he thinks that people are praying behind him. So his niyyah of al-imama is valid. Not that he's in doubt. How can that happen? Because this is based on what the Prophet ﷺ, when he prayed for Salatul Tarawih, for example, people were praying behind the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet, because they would build rulings based on this. They were praying by the prayer of the Prophet ﷺ, and he would think that they are praying behind him. Not that if he's in doubt. The same thing if someone is making salah, like this person back home, he did that, was 20 years ago. He wanted to kick all of the people from the masjid. He wants to have the masjid for himself, meaning there was people that he didn't like in the masjid. He wants to, they were leading the masjid. So he like people fighting in the masjid. So he wants to get rid of them. And he's mashallah hafiz, very strong. So he let Salatul Isha, Surah Al-Baqarah. And he kept on going. The people start leaving one after the other and screaming, what is this? What? You know, one after the other, they all left. And this is what he was doing that for. Till someone came right on his face, says, stop, like this. And he won't stop. But anyway, so he took over the masjid. The point here, one of the Shaykh was saying this. So the point here is, people left. So imagine someone is leading the salah as an imam, and then all of a sudden he's alone. So is he imam or not imam? So وتصح نية الإمام ظنا حضور مأموم. His salah will be valid, even if he thinking. But if لا شك, if he's in doubt, then he should take the intentions away. Then he says وإن نوى المنفرد الائتمام في أثناء الصلاة لم يصح. وإن نوى, so we're kind of close to Isha, but it's might be very, now so far is easy. طيب. وإن نوى المنفرد الائتمام. Now if the munfarid, someone praying alone, he intended to be a ma'mum في أثناء الصلاة, during the salah. He's praying alone on the side like this. And they made iqamah of the salah. And he still in the first rak'ah. He did not break his salah. Says, okay, the intention in his heart, I'm a ma'mum now. He joins with his intention with the people. وإن نوى المنفرد الائتمام في أثناء الصلاة, during the salah, during his salah, لم يصح, because it is not valid. He has to break his salah and then join the other salah. He cannot join by his intention from being munfarid to be ma'mum. Clear? لأنه لم ينوي الائتمام في ابتداء الصلاة, because he did not have the intention to be ma'mum. الائتمام is to be ma'mum from the beginning of the salah. Has to be from the beginning of the salah. سواء صلى وحده ركعة أو لا. Whether he prayed one rak'ah or no, it doesn't matter. It won't count because it did not start the salah like this. فرضا كانت الصلاة أو نفلا. Whether it's فرض or نفل. Clear? كما لا تصح نية إمامته في أثناء الصلاة إن كانت فرضا لأنه لم ينوي الإمامة في ابتداء الصلاة. This is now where take this first. What that means is they say that it's the same ruling applies if his intentions, he's munfarid, he's praying alone. The same ruling applies. That means the salah is not valid if he changes intention to be imam. كما لا تصح نية إمامته في أثناء الصلاة, during the salah, إن كانت فرضا, if it's فرض. Why? لأنه لم ينوي الإمامة في ابتداء الصلاة, because he did not have the intentions of the imamah from the beginning of the salah. So if someone is praying Salatul Isha alone and he's not in Jama'ah, and someone comes and stand next to him to pray Salatul Isha with him, according to this fard, it's not valid. Why? Because the imam did not have the intentions of al-imamah from the very beginning, as in fard. Right? So just understand what is being said here. Of course, the fatwa of the ulama and the other riwayah that it's valid. Fard and nafl, it doesn't matter. But here this is what is, and you see the reason for it is لأنه لم ينوي الإمامة في ابتداء الصلاة, for the fard. And the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that he was praying, and as he mentioned, the hadith right there, this is for the nafl. And but they said no fard and no nafl, because the Prophet ﷺ, he was thinking that he knows that he is gonna make him he would join him in the salah, different than someone did not have the intention from the beginning. So anyway, so this is ومقتضاه, as a result of that, أنه يصح في النفل, that it's valid in النفل. وقدمه في المقنع والمحرر وغيرهم لأنه صلى الله عليه وسلم قام يتهجد وحده فجاء ابن عباس فأحرم معه فصلى به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم متفق عليه. Because the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, when he stood in the salah in the house of Maymuna and he was starting the Salatul Tahajjud, he was praying alone. Then Abdullah ibn Abbas came and he prayed next to the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام فصلى به النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. This is متفق عليه. واختار الأكثر, he says, the most of the ashab and in the madhab, most of them, they said لا يصح في فرض ولا نفل. It is not valid in fard or nafl. لأنه لم ينوي الإمامة في الابتداء, because he did not have the intention to be the imam from the very beginning. He says وقدمه في التنقيح وقطع به في المنتهى. So which shows there's differences of opinions within the madhab, and the fatwa of the ulama are upon the opinion that it's valid for the fard and the nafl. So it's valid for the fard and the nafl, for the person to be munfarid, to pray alone, fard, and then someone comes and joins and he continues with him. Then he will, but with the intention that he becomes imam. Clear? طيب. Let's stop here, inshallah, even though we're very close to finish. Let's read it and see if it's clear. وإن انفرد أي نوى الانفراد مؤتم بلا عذر. إن انفرد أي نوى الانفراد. Someone had the intention to pray alone. مؤتم, he's مأموم. مؤتم, that means he's مأموم. While in the salah, praying behind the imam, he had the intention to pray alone, to be munfarid. He quits the jama'ah but continues the salah as a munfarid. بلا عذر, without an excuse. كمرض وغلبة نعاس وتطويل إمام. The excuse is sickness. He can't, he's not able to continue the salah. Then he should leave the salah? No. If he's having something, a condition, and he cannot continue with the imam, then he, with his intention, he becomes munfarid. He prays on his own, not following the imam. وغلبة نعاس, someone is falling asleep. وتطويل إمام, the imam is making the salah too long. Like, for example, the imam in the masjid by the train station or in the airport, and the plane is going to leave, and the imam is making the salah long, and the person is praying behind the imam. What should he do in this case? He should depart with his intentions from the imam. He leaves the imam with his intentions, and he continues the salah munfarid, alone, so that he can catch his plane, for example. So this is an excuse. But if someone does this bila udhr, without a valid excuse, بطلت صلاته. His salah is not valid. لترك متابعة إمامه, because he left following the imam. ولعذر صحت. If it's for a valid excuse, then it's valid. فإن فارقه في ثانية جمعة لعذر أتمها جمعة. In case of Salatul Jumu'ah, if the ma'mum praying behind the imam in the second rak'ah of Jumu'ah, he فارق الإمام, he departed from the imam by his intentions because of a valid excuse, أتمها جمعة, then he will continue it as Jumu'ah. He will make the salah, the rest of the salah, on his own. He left the imam with intentions. But he did this in the second rak'ah, that means then he can finish it as Jumu'ah, because he made it for Jumu'ah. لا تفضل. أنا صلي هلا صلاة إن شاء الله. إحنا معلش هنشوش عليك, معلش. We're gonna make you disturb, but it's okay. Of course, praying sunnah إن شاء الله. Yeah. No, تفضل. So maybe we can try to do it after Salatul Isha, or we have time. Continue. طب let's see here. ولعذر صحت فإن فارقه في ثانية جمعة. So that means if it's in the first rak'ah of Jumu'ah, it cannot be Jumu'ah. If it's in the second rak'ah and he left the salah with his intentions, then he could to complete it as Jumu'ah. Clear? وتبطل صلاة مأموم ببطلان صلاة إمامه لعذر أو غيره. Now this is another tricky one. The madhab is upon this. وتبطل صلاة مأموم. The salah of the ma'mum becomes invalid by the invalidity of the salatul imam. If the imam breaks his salah, the ma'mum, his salah also is broken. لعذر أو غيره, whether it's for an excuse or not. فلا استخلاف. There is no istikhlaf valid. Al-istikhlaf is when the imam pull someone from the ma'mum, khalifa, like he would pull him from behind him to lead the salah. According to this, and this is important to understand for those who are studying again the book, I'm not saying that for people to practice it. What is meant by this is that the imam broke his salah. He broke his wudu. So that moment he broke his wudu, his salah is not valid. So there is no point of making istikhlaf. The salah of those who are behind him is broken because his salah is not valid. That's different. So when is the istikhlaf? He says, أي فليس للإمام أن يستخلف من يتم بهم إن سبقه الحدث. It is not for the imam to يستخلف, to pull someone from behind him, someone that would continue the salah to complete the salah with them, in sabaqahu al-hadath, if the hadath got him before he made istikhlaf. If breaking the wudu got him before pulling someone from behind him. So that means if he's gonna break his wudu, if he makes someone pull someone from behind him, then the salah is valid, according to this. But if he broke his wudu during the salah, that means the salah is not valid. And the fatwa upon that, even if he breaks the salah, he can pull someone behind him, and the salah is to be completed, inshallah ta'ala. ولا تبطل صلاة إمام ببطلان صلاة مأموم ويتمها منفردا. The salah of the imam does not become batil, is not broken by the salah of the ma'moom when it's broken, which is a very obvious thing. Someone praying behind the imam, he breaks his salah, the imam has nothing to do with it. ويتمها منفردا. This is if they're praying only two, imam and ma'moom. The imam, one person is imam and one person is ma'moom. So the ma'moom breaks his salah, breaks his wudu, and he leaves. Then does the imam salah is valid or not? It's valid. But he prays munfarid now. He's not imam anymore. He's praying single. But his salah is not broken. The opposite is not the same. So if the imam salah is broken, then the ma'moom salah is broken. But according to the other opinion, which is both salah is valid. If the one breaks his salah, the other one does not affect him. Because of the time, inshallah, we'll finish this after the Salatul Isha. Allah subhanahu. Miss, I keep on being not clear. Can I continue? وإن أحرم إمام الحي أي الراتب بمن أي بمأمومين أحرم بهم نائبه لغيبته وبنى على صلاة نائبه. Now Imam al-Hayy, the Imam al-Ratib, the Imam of al-Hayy is the district or the one that is al-Ratib, the appointed Imam. إن أحرم إمام الحي أي الراتب بمن أي بمأمومين أحرم بهم نائبه. So the naib of the Imam, the one that would lead the salah on behalf of the Imam is late, so it's known that he says to someone, whenever I'm late, you lead the salah. So the naib, the assistant imam or whatever, the appointed imam, other than the ratib imam, is leading the salah. The imam al-ratib comes, right? So if the assistant imam returns back to the saf and the imam leads the salah, وعاد الإمام النائب مؤتما صح, it's a valid salah. Because that happened when the Prophet ﷺ, he came and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he left his position as imam and he led the salah. لأن أبا بكر صلى فجاء النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم والناس في الصلاة فتخلص حتى وقف في الصف وتقدم فصلى بهم متفق عليه. Because this is what Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he was leading the salah and the Prophet ﷺ was late, and when he came and with the people in the salah and he, with the long hadith, he returned back and the Prophet ﷺ led the salah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he's the position of the imam, and this is a valid salah, even though this is not to be done, of course, unless there are issues. Say, for example, the imam is the leader, is the king. And this can be a bad sign if someone else leads the salah, people that are overthrowing or something. But the normal situations, of course, these things does not occur. But it's here, sah. They're not saying that this is what is best. That means it's valid. The last sentence, وإن سبق اثنان فأكثر ببعض الصلاة فأتم أحدهما بصاحبه في قضاء ما فاتهما أو ائتم مقيم بمثله إذا سلم إمام مسافر صح. سبق اثنان. المسبوق, سبق. المسبوق is the one that is came late for the salah and he is finishing some rak'at. This is the masbuk. So he came in the third rak'ah. So after the imam made salam, he's getting up to make a rak'ah, right? So this is masbuk. So if there's two masbuk, the imam made salam and two people, they stood up to finish whatever they missed. According to this, one can be the imam of the other. فَأَتَمَّ أَحَدُهُمَا بِصَاحِبِهِ, with all of what's mentioned before, with the condition that one, he has the intention of being imam and the other one has the intention of being ma'mum. Right? So فَأَتَمَّ أَحَدُهُمَا بِصَاحِبِهِ فِي قَضَاءِ مَا فَاتَهُمَا, in finishing what they have missed. Or, that means the salah is valid for them. أو ائتم مقيم بمثله إذا سلم إمام مسافر. The imam is musafir, prayed to rak'ah, made salam. The rest are muqim. So they stood up finishing the 2 rak'ah because they are not musafir. So one becomes the imam of them without breaking the salah. صح, it's valid. But again, the practical matter and the fatwa of the ulama is best not to do that, of course. When people are making up what's missed from the rak'at, they pray it on their own. If the imam is musafir and the muqim are making up the rest of the salah, they pray it alone without connecting the two imam together. Sorry for taking a long time, but we just to finish this chapter. And if there's any questions, inshallah, we can answer that if after the salah, inshallah. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم ربنا بحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. We'll make the adhan and the iqamah, inshallah.